Hello everyone and welcome back to my video. It has been a while since I posted my last one, but my cyber journey wasn't stopped. I was just haven't made any videos. And today we're gonna go through the room investigating Windows from Tryhackme. We will investigate the abnormal behavior in the machine and answer the questions based on our findings. Once the machine turns on, we can see a command window popped up. First, you said it's trying to connect to the 10.34.2.3. And second, the command prompt is pointing towards the temp folder in C drive. I just gotta say that my computer doesn't do this, so this is kind of sus to me. Out of curiosity, I want to know what's inside the temp folder. So one thing I noticed immediately is that the time of modification are all on March 2nd, 2019. And you got a couple of executables here and there, along with some text docs that we can read. When we open the first text doc, inside we see a copy of the MSO cache/all users folder. This is a hidden folder used to store local installation files from Microsoft Office. Hacker might target this folder to hide malicious payload and execute fileless malwares. Next one, in the minout file, we can see that the name minicast. This is a tool used to extract Windows password in plain text from memory. And so far, looking at these files stored in this folder, everything seems sus and questionable. Let's look at the last text file and see what we can find. I have some question why the system info is in this file here, but it can help us answer some of the questions for this task. And for this one, it will be Windows Server 2016. Okay, we'll come back to the file later if we need to. But moving on, to see which user logged in last, we need to we'll see this using event viewer. So first open the event viewer. And then we want to go to the security log. Filter the results to only show the events with the event ID 4624. Once it's loaded, we can go through each log to see who logged in last. And then if we look at the new logon security ID, the latest logon is actually us as administrator. So I mean, we can go through a few more and we can see like a different security ID, but at the end we're the newest one, so we will use that as our answer. Well. The log is already set to display all the logon events. Now we just need to search for John to find the answer for the question. And we can see that John logged on last on March 2nd, 2019 at 5:48 p.m. Just need to change the format for this answer. What IP does the system connect to when start? Good thing I didn't close the pop-up window from the start. We can see that from the program is trying to connect to 10.34.2.3, and this will be our answer for the next question. What tool account has admin privilege other than admin? There are many ways on Windows to find users with the admin privilege, but here I am just demonstrating the method using PowerShell. You can just type the command as shown here, get local group member, and specify the administrator group. And we should see 3 users, and other than administrator, we have guest and Jenny. And if we want to put them in alphabetical order as well. we will use task scheduler for the next 3 questions. And once we open it, we can check out all the tasks that is scheduled to run. And looking at the list, just from the naming perspective, I think clean file systems stand out more than the others. The description said it is used to clean all files, but like how much do you have like then you need to clean it so frequently? So I'm putting down the clean file system for the first question. Then we're looking for the file that's trying to run with. So go through the property of the clean file system. We can see that the PowerShell executable name ncps1 under the action tab. Which for is the file listening for? And so also under the action tab, just after the command, we see that the -l argument followed by the number 1348. This is to set up the port 1348 as the local listening port, and this will be our answer. To see when Jenny logged in last, we will see it using the PowerShell command. Just type in the net user Jenny, and from the results we can see that Jenny never logged in. So the machine crashed on me, so I had to reopen it, but that won't affect us too much. So from earlier in the temp folder, the date for every file that are in there are on March 2nd, 2019. This is very likely that the day of the attack. During the compromise, at what time did Windows first assign special privilege to a new logon? So to see this, we can go back to the event viewer. So we have an idea when the attack roughly took place. So in the event viewer, we can use it to set the date to March 2nd, 2019, based on our finding. And this time we will filter out the log with the event ID 4672, which is the special logon event. Just looking at the results, we can see events as early as at 4:02. But this is not what the room is looking for, and based on the hint that you provided us, we are looking for an event that happens with the second ends at 49. After a little bit of scrolling, we found the time at 4:04 ends with the 49. What tool was used to get Windows password? Again, back to the temp folder, we saw the file that talked about the minicast, and we know that this tool is used to extract passwords from Windows memory. So we put that in for our answer. What was the attacker's external control and command server IP? Well, just before we answer this question, one thing I noticed is that in the input folder in C drive, it came with the same modification date as the attack took place. So let's take a quick look. Never hurts to be safe. We see that a shell executable and 2 JavaScript file. This is likely the file format that will be sent when the shell executable is run. And when we open the shell executable, we can see that the script did mention JavaScript again. This finding helped us to answer the extension name of the shell uploaded via the server website. Well, interesting finding. We need to get back on track with the attacker's C2 server IP. And for this one, we will look at the host file. This file has a local domain name server, which maps IP addresses with domain names. If there's anything that makes the computer to believe the site is not malicious, this could be a place to look at. So looking Looking at the file, I think it's very interesting to see that different sites like VirusTotal and others is mapped to the default IP for the local host, the 127.0.0.1, and the Google is mapped to this 76.32.97.132. I mean, why did it do this? I mean, also, is this actual IP for Google? So to check the IP, I just started the attack box, and what I want to know is that if the IP address list in the host file match with the one if we actually were to pin Google. Here we try to pin both google.com and the www.google.com listed in the host file. And looking at the result, it is a bit different than the actual site, so we can say this is very possible to be a DNS poisoning. To answer the question, what was the attacker's external C2 server IP, we can say is the 76.32.97.132. And with what we had open, we can answer the last question, which is which site was targeted, and we can say it was the google.com. Alright, last one. What was the last port the attacker opened? Well, we will use firewall rules to answer this question. And once we're in, we can see the inbound and outbound rules. Since we're trying to see which one the attacker trying to open, and this is coming from the C2 server, we will look into the inbound rules. And since a lot of rules are already got assigned with the group by default, we can start looking at the ones which are not in the groups yet. We can see there are two rules to choose from, and let's open both. In the service firewall one, we can see that it is using the port of 8888, and in the allow for outside connection one, it is using port 1337. Since the port 48 is more common port, it is unlikely the attacker will use this one. Port 1337 is more likely to be the one. So this concludes the room. Although the tech today will be a bit different, but it's the blue team mindset that is more important.